I'm not a lawyer, but I know y'all are ready for part 3 of Florida versus Donna Adelson, aka the grandmother who's on trial for orchestrating the death of her son-in-law. So let's get into it, because on day 3, we got testimony from someone key to this case, but who up until now has denied all involvement in this case.
Please say your name and spell your name.
Katherine Magbanua.
Let's get into it. So to make sure you're tracking, here's what we know so far. On July 18, 2014, Florida State University law professor Dan Markell was sitting in his car in the garage of his house when a man jumped out of the car, came up to his window, and executed him. Police learn that Dan was in the middle of a custody battle with his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson, and through their investigation, police learn and allege that Wendy's mother was so controlling and infuriated by this entire custody battle that she enlisted the help of Wendy's brother, Charlie Adelson, to have Dan executed. Charlie Adelson asked his girlfriend, a woman named Katherine Magbanua, if she knew anyone who could do the job, and Katherine says she does. She then calls up the father of her children, a man named Sigfredo Garcia, and then Sigfredo Garcia and his childhood friend, Luis Rivera, go take care of the job. Okay, so in prosecutors' attempt to prove this theory, they have called a number of witnesses to testify against Donna Adelson. We've heard from Luis Rivera, aka one of the hitmen, and we've also heard from Wendy Adelson, who is Donna's daughter and Charlie's sister. And then on day 3, the central link to this whole entire story takes the stand, and that is none other than Katherine Magbanua, who is currently serving a life sentence plus 30 years for her involvement in this crime. And on the stand, Katherine admits that while she has previously denied all involvement in this case, the truth is prosecutors have had it right from the beginning, and now she's ready to come clean because everyone involved should be held responsible, and she's hoping that one day she can see her kids again.
Were you involved in the death of Dan Markell?
Yes, ma'am.
Did we have it right? Were you the middleman between the shooter and Charlie Adelson?
Yes, ma'am.
And why then come now with a different story?
I think that the truth needed to come out, and the people responsible needed to get arrested.
Okay. Are you hoping to get something out of this?
I would eventually like to see my children again one day.
And are you hoping that something can be done for you even after being sentenced?
Yes, ma'am, I'm hoping so.
Okay. Have you been promised anything
No,
in exchange for your testimony?
No, ma'am, I have not.
It's worth noting that prosecutors first offered Katherine immunity in exchange for her testimony, but she refused because she would have had to testify against the father of her children, and at the time, he was facing the death penalty.
Weren't you originally offered immunity in this case to come forward with the truth?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Why did you not take that opportunity?
Well, in the first trial, I was tried with Sigfredo Garcia, and he was facing the death penalty, and I just couldn't do it.
Okay, because the truth would implicate your child's father.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What about the second time?
I've been living a lie this whole time, and it was just so hard to come out with the truth that I kept fighting.
All right, now let's get into what Katherine has to say about this whole entire situation. She says she first met Charlie Adelson back in 2013 when she was working at a dental office and he was working at a periodontist at that office. So he mainly worked at his father's dental office, but he would also travel to other offices to work as a periodontist. So the two of them start dating, and then around October of 2013, Charlie first brings up this idea of needing to have someone harmed.
This was around October. What stuck out in my head was on Halloween on October 31st. Well, we were out in Lincoln Road. It was like a kind of like a block party. When we were getting ready to get into our cars, he jumped into my car, and he basically suggested that, do I know anybody that can harm someone? I mean, Sigfredo was the first person that kind of popped in my head. Through the course, he was just mentioning that his parents were going through it, that his sister was going through it. He just said that they couldn't sleep, that at some point I think somebody was throwing up. I don't know if it was his mom or his dad, and that it was just becoming a big problem to them. And since he knew that I was going through stuff with Sigfredo, it was kind of, I was like sympathizing with his sister because I know how it feels to go through
Okay,
turmoil.
so
According to Katherine, at the time that he brought this up, she was going through some rough financial situations, and she knew Sigfredo would always be motivated by money, so she told Charlie that she knew someone who could do the job, but at the time, her understanding was that the plan was just to have someone hurt. As time went on, Katherine says that she would hang out with Charlie and he would continue to bring up this job that he needed to have done, and at times he would step out to talk to his mom on the phone, but Katherine says he would never tell her what the two of them were talking about. And then one day, Katherine went over to Charlie's house and he gave her an envelope.
There was an envelope that Charlie had given me one day that I went over to his house, and he told me not to open it and that he had worn gloves to close it, and that was basically it. And that I was to the understanding of to pass it on to whoever I knew could take care of it.
okay,
I was basically in the middle.
so you don't talk about Charlie to Sigfredo, and you don't talk about Sigfredo to Charlie,
No, ma'am.
but they both,
Knew that it was to them, yes.
okay.
It was a manila envelope.
So the envelope goes into your diaper bag, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you take it and Sigfredo gets it from you?
Yes, well, eventually when I came home, because I usually have that diaper bag, that's like my little weekend bag. And when I came home, I contacted Sigfredo and I was like, hey, I have a package for you. Just come by whenever you can.
Did you open it and see what was inside?
No, ma'am.
Would y'all have opened it? I mean, I wouldn't be in this situation, but if I was, I think I would have opened it.
He literally took it and left out the door.
All right, and had you talked to him beforehand about, hey, I'm gonna give you some instructions about a job?
No, there was no conversation about it. Basically, just I have that package, and then he took it.
But how
and
did he
left.
know what the package was? Had you talked to him at all about, hey, I got a job for you?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Like I told them that, that I have potential person that needed to, get harmed or beat up from my understanding at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, okay.
Okay.
So Sigfredo gets this package, and at this point, it's early 2014. Nothing happens for a while after the package, but then in June, Katherine asked Charlie for some money for the hitmen. Her understanding was that the men wanted to scope out the area, which was in Tallahassee, and at the time, they all lived in Miami. So she asked Charlie for a couple $100s so that the men could rent a car, get gas, and things like that. So Charlie gives her the money, but he apparently was under the impression that this trip was actually for the real deal. So when a few days had passed and nothing happened, he has some questions.
Well, since I guess nothing happened and something was to happen, he was like, well, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. So Sigfredo didn't tell me anything.
Were you worried that like maybe he'd taken this few $100s and now he's
Of
gone
course.
off the grid and I can't really give any information to Charlie about what's happening?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you getting any pressure put on you to get the job done?
Yes, ma'am, from Charlie. He was a little bit more adamant and persistent. Well, Katie, why hasn't anything been happening? What's going on?
And were you then in turn putting some pressure on Garcia to get it done, make it happen?
Yes, ma'am.
The hitmen were somehow made aware of Dan's travel schedule, and so about a month after the failed June trip, they travel back to Tallahassee, and this time they succeed in their task. Katherine says she doesn't know how the men knew that Dan was heading out of town soon, but once the job was done, Sigfredo called to tell her that it was done.
Do you know whether his travel schedule was contained in the documents inside that manila envelope?
I would think a lot of information was there because for some reason, Sigfredo knew information and Charlie knew information, and that's why the whole confusion was on me.
Once the murder was done, did you receive a phone call from Sigfredo Garcia?
Yes, ma'am, I did. I don't know what my conversation was with Sigfredo, but I did speak to him on the phone.
But you understood that you needed to get the money, right, and pay
Yes.
them?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to Charlie Adelson's house to get the money on the night of the shooting?
Yes, ma'am. He had contacted me and told me there was an accident and if he can have dinner with me that night.
Okay. And the accident was a reference to the shooting of Dan Markell?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, which was not an accident, right?
No, ma'am. He was pretty frantic, just pacing back and forth, and he had a gun in his hand. He told me that his parents just left.
Katherine spent the night over Charlie's house that night, and then when she woke up the next day, Charlie told her that the money for the job was in the trunk of her car. So she left his house and tried contacting Sigfredo, but was unsuccessful, so she eventually went by Luis Rivera's house, and when she does, she said Sigfredo kind of popped out of nowhere.
Yeah, he just kind of jumped in my car. I didn't know where he came from. I told him that his money was in the trunk of the car. He went to the back, grabbed it, and then I saw him. He left.
How did you get your cut of the money?
I don't know if it was later on that night that he came back to my apartment or the following day, and then he put it in the closet in a plastic bag, grocery bag, and I believe there was like a paper bag and then a Ziploc bag inside it. When I opened it, but a couple days after the fact, it was wet and starting to mold. I contacted him and told him, why is the money wet?
Go ahead.
Told me that his mom washed the money.
That she physically washed the money?
Yes, ma'am.
Grandma was confused by what washing money meant. See, that's why she should have been down at the bingo hall instead of trying to plan a M for hire. Exactly 2 months after the hit, Katherine began getting a paycheck every 2 weeks from the Adelson's dental practice. She admits she was not hired by them and was not doing any work for them, and so these payments were made in exchange for her contributions to this crime.
Were you actually doing any work for your payment at Adelson Institute?
No, ma'am, I was not.
Was the payments that you received from the Adelson Institute part of your compensation for your arranging of this murder?
I would think so, yes, ma'am.
What do you mean you would think so? It's yes or no question.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. He wasn't going to put you on the payroll for no reason, was he?
Yes, ma'am.
And how would you receive the paychecks?
Charlie would give it to me.
The paychecks, which were all signed by Donna Adelson, continued for about 2 years, and they only stopped when Sigfredo Garcia got arrested, which was on May 25th, 2016. However, shortly before Sigfredo's arrest, police conducted a sting operation, or what they call a bump. They had an undercover officer approach Donna Adelson as she was walking out of her condo with an article about Dan Markel's death and a phone number written on it, as well as the amount of $5,000. The agent tells Donna that he was an associate of Luis Rivera, and then he walked away. And the whole point of this bump, because again, it was 2 years after the death of Dan Markel, was so police could see what Donna would do after this encounter, because they were trying to confirm her participation in this crime. And what did Donna do? She called her son, Charlie Adelson, and then Charlie called Katherine Magbanua.
And we've talked about the bump. Did you meet with Charlie Adelson after the bump?
Yes, ma'am. I got inside the car. He came outside of my job and basically asked, probably where we're going to eat. And he turned up the volume in his car and kind of just leaned towards me and was just telling me that, that his mom got approached.
Are you thinking it could be an associate of Luis Rivera? Maybe Rivera did tell someone, and
yes.
Maybe this is somehow connected to Rivera.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess, are you giving Charlie Adelson all the information that you have about this?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you're going to handle it on your side of the conspiracy yourself, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it you're supposed to do?
To contact the phone number.
Mm-hmm. Phone number on the piece of paper that was handed to his mother.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And figure out who it is and resolve it.
What's going on? He didn't know if it was somebody trying to extort him or try to blackmail him, or he didn't know if it was the FBI.
So Katherine's version of events is that she was the middleman or middle woman, and so both sides didn't know who was on the other. Charlie didn't know that her baby's father was the one performing the hit, and Sigfredo didn't know that her boyfriend was the one ordering the hit. Now, on cross-examination, Donna's attorney highlights that for this whole thing to have been motivated by money, it's interesting that Katherine never knew how much the hit was for or what her cut would be.
How much money did you tell him he could make?
I didn't tell him an amount.
So you testified before that you knew Sigfredo needed some money and you could certainly use some money, so that's why you agreed to do this.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you were going to agree to have somebody killed and you didn't even know how much you were going to get paid?
No, I did not know.
You get up the next morning and he says there's money in the trunk.
Yes, ma'am.
At that point you're claiming you didn't know how much money it was.
Yeah, I did not know how
And
much.
as of then you still hadn't discussed any dollar value for having someone killed.
No, ma'am. That was probably on the paper that I had handed to Sigfredo, the one that he got out of my diaper bag.
Yeah, I don't want you to speculate because you don't know, do you?
No, I never opened the envelope.
But your testimony is you arranged a homicide and didn't even know what the pay was going to be.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How much money did you get?
I never counted how much money was even in the bag.
As you sit here today, you're telling this jury you never know what your cut was. You can't tell them.
No, ma'am, I never counted it.
Now that's just dumb. The attorney next emphasizes that outside of meeting Donna Adelson twice in a casual setting, Katherine didn't have any communications with her, so she really can't say what Donna's involvement was in this case.
You never talked to her again, did you?
Not that I can recall. I don't think I've spoken.
You didn't speak on the phone to each other?
No, ma'am.
You didn't text each other?
No, ma'am.
You didn't email each other?
No, ma'am.
You didn't have any other communication of any kind?
No, ma'am.
You didn't meet with her in person?
There's only a time that I saw her, but I didn't meet with her.
Right, exactly. And when you're having these discussions with Charlie Adelson, I'm talking about you and your knowledge. When you're having these discussions with Charlie and then having discussions with Sigfredo, she's not involved in those conversations with you, is she?
No, ma'am, she's not.
All right, there were a few other witnesses, but I'm going to get started on day 4 because the agents involved in the bump took the stand, and child, we got all the tea.
Excuse me, Mrs. Adelson? How you doing? Just want to give you this. Listen. You're scared. No, don't be scared. Listen, just want to let you know that we know that your family has been taking care of Katie and her friend Luto for quite some time after your problem up north has been resolved. And I want to let you know that my brother, he's incarcerated. He helped your family with this problem you guys had up north. And we want to make sure that he's going through some rough times. We want to make sure that you take care of what he's going through, the way you're taking care of Katie and Tuba. Well, this will explain it. Thank you.